皆さん、こんにちは。今日はいつもの動画とはちょっと違って、日本でのリアルな体験をブログとしてシェアしたいと思います。実は先月2026年が始まる直前に思い切ってタイを離れて、日本の芝浦工業大学で行われた文化交流プログラムに参加してきました。日本では10日間過ごしました。正直、この10日間は想像以上で自分の考え方とか世界の見え方が少し変わった気がします。このブログでは綺麗な場所や楽しい瞬間だけじゃなくて文化の違いや課題、そして本当の気持ちもシェアしたいと思います。最後まで見てもらえたら嬉しいです。I arrived in Japan one day before the program officially started. Since it was my first time visiting Japan, I felt both excited and nervous. Somehow, all the exhaustion disappeared, even after a 6-hour flight and long bus ride to the airport. After landing at Narita Airport, we took the train to the hostel where we would be staying. Even the train ride felt special. Everything was so quiet, organized, and new to me. The hostel itself was amazing, with manga bookshelves everywhere. It felt cozy and very Japanese. For dinner, I finally tried sushi from Sushiro. I had wanted to try it for such a long time, and it lived up to my expectations. That was one of the moments when it really hit me. I was actually in Japan. I'm standing at Higashi-Omiya Station looking for TAs. Then they led us to the buses. The bus ride to Shibara Institute of Technology felt surreal. Everything was so clean, so organized, so different. At 10:30, we flew into Saito Memorial Hall for the opening ceremony. After the ceremony came the practical staff, registration, getting our student ID cards, and guidance from the Office of International Services. They handed us scholarship money, collected fees for our upcoming Nasu trip, and helped us set up Wi-Fi. It sounds boring, but honestly, having everything so well organized made me feel taken care of in this foreign place. Then came the part I was dreading, ice-breaking activities. If you're an introvert like me, you know the feeling. The team forming session was intense. They divided us into groups, mixing students from different countries. Before I continue, I want to share something that really helped me prepare for this experience. Before coming to Japan, one of my biggest worries was communication, especially speaking Japanese in real situations and working in an international team. Even though I've been learning Japanese for quite a long time, speaking was always my weakest point. I would forget words that were right on the tip of my tongue. And honestly, living in Thailand for more than 2 years meant I didn't have many chances to immerse myself in Japanese anymore. So, about 1 month before the program, I decided to do something about it. I started taking Japanese speaking lessons, and that's how I found italki. For those of you who don't know what italki is, it's an online language learning platform offering personalized one-on-one lessons with native speaking teachers. When I arrived in Japan and realized that I could hold conversations with my Japanese teammates from day one, my confidence completely changed. Whether you are preparing for an exam, planning to travel, improving your speaking and listening skills, or even starting as a complete beginner, italki is an amazing platform. You can book one-on-one lessons with native speaking teachers from all over the world, anytime and anywhere. They offer classes in over 150 languages, including Japanese, Chinese, Spanish, and many more. What I love is that you are not just memorizing vocabulary or grammar. You are learning how to use the language through real conversations with instant feedback from experienced teachers.
本読むんですか？日本語の本。
日本語の本。タイでは日本語の本を見つけるのはとても難しいです。
あ、そうですか。ブックオフっていうお店がありますね。セカンドハンドの。そこで本を買うといっぱい安い本がいっぱいあるからおすすめですよ。
ぜひ行ってみます。
Booking a class is also super easy. With all the filters and their new AI assistant, you can find the perfect teacher based on your level, goals, and interests. You can even choose teachers who speak your native language. Having teachers who create a safe, supportive space makes it much more easier to speak comfortably and improve over time. And since you pay per lesson, it fits easily into your budget and schedule. So, if your New Year resolution is to learn Japanese, or honestly any new language, you can check out italki through the link in my description box. The first 50 users will also get $5 free when you purchase $10 for your first lesson using my promo code LINLET
2026.
The next few days were a blur of activity. We walked in these places called TLC and ICOBA collaboration areas designed for exactly what we were doing. Every day started at 10 a.m. and went until 5 p.m. with breaks for lunch. Our project brief came from KQ Railway, an actual railway company. Their challenge? The Miura Peninsula, beautiful coastline, fresh seafood, Mount Fuji views, but tourists weren't coming. They wanted us to figure out how to attract visitors using the KQ railway line. Our team came up with that idea of curated travel packages along the KQ railway line to the Miura Peninsula, not generic tour packages, but themed experiences that make the journey itself meaningful. By December 12th, we had to present our design review. We were still working on our E3 poster in the morning. Then design review section came at 1 p.m. Each team presented their work, and the professors and representatives gave feedback. After that exhausting presentation, my friend and I decided to treat ourselves to a bowl of noodles at Ichiran Ramen. I'd seen so many videos about this place on YouTube and had always wanted to try it, especially because it's basically introverts' heaven, not having to talk to anyone while quietly enjoying one of the best bowls of ramen in the world. Honestly, that's a top-tier life experience. Today, we didn't have any fixed plans, so we spent the morning walking around and placing stickers on the posters we liked. It didn't take long, which meant we still had plenty of time in the afternoon to explore. So my friend and I decided to stroll along the festival street in Urawa. It was filled with so many food stores that I honestly wanted to try every single one of them. Our bus departed from Omiya campus at 9:30 a.m. The bus ride to Nasu was about 2 hours. As we left the city behind, the landscape transformed. Buildings gave way to fields, then hills, then mountains. We arrived at Hotel Sun Valley Nasu around noon. It wasn't a luxury resort, but it had a perfect balance of traditional and modern Japanese style. This was the room where I stayed during our time in Nasu. After lunch at the hotel, we attended the Nasu opening ceremony. A representative from the local town welcomed us and explained how meaningful this collaboration was for the Nasu community. For dinner, we enjoyed a buffet, and afterward, each group gave a small cultural presentation. Some groups performed traditional dances, and others did short performances. Our group presented a performance about Japanese sumo, and it turned out to be such a fun and memorable night for me. The next morning, we started the day at 9 a.m. with visits to real sites around Nasu. We split into our own groups and explored different places, including local businesses, farms, shrines, and community centers. My group visited a farm where we learned more about local life and the community. Then something magical happened. It started snowing. Seeing snow for the first time in my life made me unbelievably excited, and I couldn't stop taking photos and videos. We had lunch near the farm, and I ate ramen, which was so oishi. After returning, we spent the rest of the day preparing our poster for the presentation scheduled for the next day. This was our last morning in Nasu. After breakfast at 7 a.m., we had our final workshop. But the mood was different now. We weren't just students completing an assignment. We were invested. At noon, we presented our projects to stakeholders in the Nasu area, real local leaders who would potentially implement our ideas. The feedback was honest and sometimes critical. That final lunch in Nasu was bittersweet. We'd been there only 3 days, but it felt like a lifetime. These mountains, this town, these people had given us something we didn't even know we needed. The bus pulled away at 2 p.m. We arrived back at Compass by 5 p.m. Everyone was quiet on that ride, looking out the windows, processing everything. On days 9 and 10, we were back in our usual workplaces. GLC, Igoba, and Saito Memorial Hall. Over these 2 days, we needed to refine our poster on the KQ Railway based on the feedback we received from professors and fellow students. We spent the entire day brainstorming, redesigning, and working on both the poster and the presentation slides. Everything had to be finalized by noon the next day because we would be presenting our final prototype. The morning of December 18th was dedicated entirely to preparation for the final presentation. We focused on polishing our slides, rehearsing our translations, and making sure everything flowed smoothly. Saito Memorial Hall was set up with Zoom for virtual attendees. Representatives from KQ Railway joined online. Professor sat in the front row. This was it. Each group presented its project. The diversity of ideas was incredible, from agricultural innovation to tourism platforms to cultural preservation apps. The closing ceremony at 4 p.m. was emotional. Awards for best projects, thank you speeches, and certificate distribution. But the real emotion came from what we'd become, not just program participants, but friends, collaborators, and believers in cross-cultural possibility. As I left Shibara Institute of Technology that evening, I looked back at Saito Memorial Hall, where everything had started 10 days ago. I was a different person now. On this day, I still had the entire morning and afternoon free before my flight. Since I hadn't visited any shrines during my stay in Japan, my friend and I decided to go to Sensoji Temple in Tokyo, the most famous temple in the city. Walking through the area felt like the perfect way to say goodbye to Japan. I wandered around, took photos, bought souvenirs for my family and friends, and made a wish at the temple before heading to the airport. Later, as I arrived at the airport and waited for my flight, everything started to sink in. It felt unreal, like I had arrived in Japan just yesterday. 10 days had passed so quickly, but the memories, lessons, and emotions felt so heavy in the best possible way. That was when I realized this trip wasn't just a journey. It was an experience that will stay with me for a long time. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. See you in my next video.